Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and I am so excited to be celebrating 10 years of meaningful conversations with you. As we step into our new primetime hour, it's such an honor to share this exciting new chapter with you. So whether you're starting your day out, headed to work, or listening from wherever you are, this hour is designed to bring you thoughtful dialogue, fresh insight, and inspiring stories so you can make every moment count. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive in. We're here today with special guest, Robyn Vogel, who's here to share with us her work and new book, Come Back to Love. So what if your deepest pain is leading you to your greatest love story? Wouldn't you want to learn more about that? I know I do. Everyone's had pain in their life. Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Robyn Vogel is a trauma-informed psychotherapist, IFS-trained clinician, couples specialist, and certified love and intimacy coach who helps individuals and couples heal relational wounds and build emotionally secure, authentic connections. She holds a master's degree in psychotherapy and is credentialed as a mental health counselor, high conflict divorce coach, certified sex educator, and certified sex coach. So welcome to the show, Robyn Vogel.
Thank you, Marianne. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about your book and the work that you do. So I know we've had a discussion before, but can you share with us what Come Back to Love means?
Sure, absolutely. My favorite topic. Come Back to Love, the name of my business, the name of my new book, and also a lifelong mantra, I would say, is all about healing the heartbreaks of the past and coming back to a space of love and compassion for yourself. And then being able to share that with others. For some, it means finding a partner. For some, it means coming back to love with your partner.
So for some folks that maybe are just stuck in heartbreak, how do they get to a place where they can even think about love?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Heartbreak can, which we've all experienced, can get stuck. And it's interesting the way that our emotions can get stuck in our body. Our emotions can also kind of keep us stuck in time. I had a recent conversation with a client about first love and first love heartbreak, which I think most everybody, maybe not everybody, but I think most everybody has experienced that first love and the heartbreak that comes from the undoubtedly, when the end comes as it does. And finding those places inside yourself that are still holding on to sadness and grief is really important. And it's work that's certainly more easily done with a guide, whether that's a book or a coach or a therapist, because we tend to tuck these heartbreaks away because they're so painful. And what happens when when our hearts break, when we have a loss, and we have a lot of grief, it's can be really hard for ourselves to manage. And so we have parts that come in that protect us, and that is helpful in many ways, but also can sometimes keep the heartbreak and the pain associated with it tucked inside. And so it takes some adept skills and the right support to find the grief again and provide a safe way for it to be expressed. And then it's kind of like letting air out of a balloon. It's like held inside, but we can very gently find an opening and allow the grief to be expressed and get out of the body, and the mind as well, and start to feel better and start to recover.
Well, I know that you work with so many people in helping them get to a place of hope and healing. When we look at come back to love, which is such a powerful phrase, what does this mean on a practice kind of day-to-day level?
Great question. So it's interesting you asked that question because it's been a real topic for me and my community as of late. I have a very easily accessible membership program where we gather every Monday morning for half an hour, and that is exactly the topic of our like beginning of the week practice with this group of really committed um, spiritual seekers, I would say, because we can, and I talk about this a lot, and teach people how to come back to love in the moment, and to repeatedly rewire yourself to be able to do that. And by rewire, I mean break a pattern of instead spending time thinking about the things that are stressful or the pain that you've had or what's happening in the world. All those things are real and happening and valid. It's just that we also get to choose how we feel on a daily basis, which is, I know, a concept that is new and some people might disagree. And my experience of having so much loss in my life, actually, and so much grief starting at a very young age and extending into my early 40s, I really needed to teach myself to be a joyous, happy, healthy person in the world. And that really began with learning how to access love in any moment and bring it into my energy field and therefore into my feeling self, like on a daily basis. So on Monday mornings, we have a group that gathers and we do specific practices that allow us to access love and to come back to it, so that the heart can open and relax, soften, and feel the love that is literally within us. It's just that some people have trouble accessing it, and all of us have had trouble accessing it at some point or another. But I really, really want to drive home the fact that it's a choice, and it's a choice that we can make daily, and we can make 100 times a day.
I think that's such a powerful piece. And one of the things I love is how your book is described about being this doorway, how heartbreak can be the story to our greatest love story. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good line, isn't it? Well, I think it really is because heartbreak or any kind of loss, when we take the opportunity to pause, to look inside, and to take on the healing that's required, it becomes a doorway to your greatest love story because healing the grief opens you up to more love. Often when there's something painful, it's especially when we're young, we make decisions about life and truths. We make up stories and then we believe them to be true. We make up beliefs about ourselves. For example, for me, my mother died when I was young, and I made up a story at, what, age 10, 11, 12, that I must have done something wrong. And of course, it wasn't true. I mean, nobody would ever say that was true, but young minds try to make things logical. Actually, even adult minds try to make things logical. So these beliefs get kind of written in stone in a way, and that's another aspect of the healing, is to really understand what the mind did to make sense of the chaos or the tragedy or the loss. And then once you uncover those, it's like everything changes. And because you've taken the time to do the healing work, you can let go of beliefs that might have kept you from love because you didn't feel worthy or because you were just feeling um, a sadness and not open to the possibility of loving again. So the healing is a doorway to a much lighter and brighter life. And that's why it's the doorway to love, to writing a new love story.
Well, I love that. I think it's so empowering because so many times we get stuck in heartbreak. It's so hard in many ways, as they say, to see the forest from the trees. We're just stuck there. And I think for many people who want to be in a place where they could start feeling love again or be in a loving relationship, that's such a big deal.
Yeah, it really is. And grief is so painful, and it it gets stuck. It gets stuck I would say in most of us, especially in Western culture, because we're not taught to, we don't, we're taught mostly not to feel our feelings. And we're certainly not taught how to handle grief. I'm just thinking as we're talking about the difference in another culture where there's, tents where you go and, if you're grieving, you go and you spend time there until it feels complete and you get, there's support from the community and there's rituals and meditations and guides and medicine men and women supporting, and it's just we just have completely the opposite experience. It's like, somebody died and there's a ritual, sure, there's a funeral or a wake or a shiva, and then it's like back to work, and you're walking around grieving and people don't even remember because everybody's busy with something else, and there just hasn't been space created in our culture to really honor, the depth of this experience. And yeah, and therefore it gets stuck.
Is that usually an indicator that there's so much more going on that people really need to take a look at? And I would think that it would also require a professional like you helping people through that process.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm a big fan. One, not only because it's the work that I do as a therapist and a coach, but also because I didn't receive the support that I needed when I was a teenager, trying to understand what had happened in my family. And because I didn't receive what I needed from my family, not to their, just they were doing their best at that time in the, early 70s, but also because I didn't have any, yeah, I didn't have any outside support. Nobody thought to say, hey, maybe the kids need to see a therapist, or maybe they should go see their guidance counselor in school, like anything. And so it was just about tucking it all away and pretending that nothing happened. And that in itself created a whole other, trauma. So these days, hopefully we know differently than, we did, 40, 50 years ago, but absolutely yes to support. I find myself too, like when I'm moving through something emotional these days, I just am able to access it with somebody present with me, somebody who's, just there, whether it's a friend or a therapist or a coach, just there to listen and hold space for me. Like that's such a huge gift to have that space held and a listening heart and a listening support. It makes a world of difference.
So I know you teach courses and have retreats and different events that are coming up. Who are these designed for?
Thank you. They're designed for people who have been through an experience of heartbreak. And I want to say to our listeners, like, you get to define what that is. Maybe you had a lot of losses, like you've been hearing me share about. Maybe not. Maybe you've been through divorce or you're going through divorce. Maybe you've had some other things that have just been hard in life, and you get to decide what the heartbreak is, where the grief, that the grief maybe is still there, that there's healing to do in your life. And I would say most people that come to work with me, hundreds and hundreds now over, 25 years, have all been through something and are really ready for something else. And a lot of people will say to me, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've been doing therapy for 10 years. And, as a therapist, I have a lot of respect for that. And I know it's not the only thing to do in order to truly come back to love with yourself and others and have the life experience that you really want to have. I want to emphasize that for a moment. A lot of people come to me in midlife, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and we're often having this conversation like, okay, let's really think about this. Let's pause for a moment. Like you've got, who knows? Maybe half of your life has passed. Maybe there's 20 or 30 years more to live. What do you really, really want to experience? And let's take that really seriously. Like, let's not just sort of continue in a fog and thinking like, okay, well, maybe one day. It's like, maybe one day is now, right now. What do you want to experience in your life that you haven't? And then the question that we ask together is, well, what needs to happen in order to have that experience? And so the people that come to my workshops, to my in-person destination retreats, or a weekend retreat here in the US, I would say most people are really moving through that kind of transition.
Do you get people also who feel like, okay, I don't know what's happening. I've been dating the same person over and over and over again, even though I'm trying to pick different people. Do you get a lot of that too?
Oh, yes, that's very, very common. Very, very common. I have heard that story over and over again. I've experienced it myself. It's usually people will say, I just keep choosing the wrong person. Well, they might start by saying something else, but when we eventually sort of dig in a little bit, it's like, yeah, I keep choosing the wrong person. I keep choosing somebody with narcissistic tendencies, for example, over and over again. And I don't really understand why I keep doing that. And then more than not, they'll follow that with, I don't know what's wrong with me. And that's the piece that I really invite people to pause on and take a breath and say, and I always say, and we'll say here, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. And there's another way of looking at this because patterns get so rooted in the body and in the mind. And we tend to, therefore, before we do the healing work, we tend to just keep repeating these patterns over and over again for some good reasons. And so, yes, that's a very common experience that people are having when they reach out to me. And they're usually so frustrated and they want it to stop and they want to meet, the person of their dreams, the person they're yearning for, to have the experience of really being met in relationship and enjoying a connection and all of the goodness that comes from that, even if it's, of course, hard sometimes. But there's so much goodness that comes from a rich, deeply connected relationship.
And is it possible then to rewire our brain for love?
Yes, absolutely. So I've mentioned a couple of times around about how these thoughts get stuck and how our logical minds try to make sense of things that have happened in our lives. That's not the only reason we get stuck in limiting beliefs. We also get stuck in limiting beliefs because of the way we were parented or a teacher we had that, wasn't particularly sensitive. And, parenting has changed so much over the years, thankfully, and I know it's still evolving, but there was a lot of blame and shame tossed around. You know, People weren't doing necessarily as much healing work as we are doing now at this point. And so, we can look back, probably most of us in our, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and look back and say, well, had our parents done their own healing work? Probably not. And so these beliefs just got passed down from generation to generation. Now, thankfully, we're in a place where we can say, okay, time to break this pattern, break this generational trauma, break these beliefs that aren't true anymore. And so that's what we mean when we say rewire is really looking at the patterns that get stuck. Now, we can look at it on a scientific, from a scientific basis, we can look at the brain and MRIs that show neural pathways. And I love that scientific piece, mainly just because it proves that the work that we do actually is effective. But it's really important to change those beliefs because energy follows thought. That is one of a very basic principle that energy follows thought. And so if you're thinking, well, I'm really not a great person in the world. I'm mean to my kids and I'm, whatever it is that you think about yourself. And then there's, the energy then gets created and stays around. So how would you expect, and it would be quite difficult to attract a partner that is filled with love and support and, the kind of the partner that you deserve to have. And it's not anyone's fault. It's not your fault that that belief is still hanging around. It's literally an invitation when you come across these thoughts, whether it's on your own or with support, to say, okay, like I don't want to keep believing that about myself, and that's not putting good energy out into the world, and therefore it's not helping me attract my partner.
I'd love to dive into your events that you have coming up because I know you've got some wonderful retreats that are happening this year that people can really take advantage of. So, one you have that's coming up It's at Corpolo. Can you share that with us?
Sure. And I want to say it's like a 4 or 5 day retreat, which is
Yeah.
even more awesome.
That
Even
one,
more
yeah.
awesome. The more the better as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I'm so excited to be teaching this year at the Cropalo Center in Lenox, Massachusetts. It's, first of all, just a wonderful location. It's a place I've been going to for, I don't know, 30 years or more at this point, and have done a lot of my own healing there. And I'm so excited to be offering a really in-depth intensive experience that not only looks at the rewiring, like I just talked about, of the brain and the limiting beliefs, but also will allow us to do some really targeted internal family systems work where I will guide the group to find these parts inside that are still holding grief, that are still holding fear, that are in some way keeping love at a distance because of fear and protection that these parts feel we need. It's not necessarily true, but they get stuck in time and they get stuck in protective mode. And it takes slowing down, it takes getting out of the everyday like grind of life. It takes more than a 1 hour therapy session. And really the benefit of really spending time is we get to slowly let go of the outside world, drop into ourselves, create and be in a safe space that's really supported, and then take a look inside and find the courage because of all the safety and support, and find the courage to locate these parts and do work with them. Some of your listeners and some of our listeners probably know about internal family systems and how effective this methodology is. I've been doing it for 25 years now, 26 years, and it's nothing short of a miracle watching somebody find a place that feels so afraid to open to the other, to witnessing them on the other side of, wow, okay, I feel really open to love and the fear is not in my body anymore. That's incredibly beautiful.
Oh my goodness, what a profound gift to be able then to move forward in life unencumbered with the pain and the grief and really kind of start your life over.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Well, and can you share with us your Omega trip that you have coming up? I love Omega. My God, that place is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I'm excited. This will be my second year teaching at Omega, and it will be similar, I would say. It's a little bit of a longer retreat. It's like 1 day longer than Kripalu. It's at the end of August this year. Kripalu's in towards the end of June. And it will be similar. We'll spend a little bit more time at Omega, probably doing some of the neuroplasticity tools that are so supportive in rewiring the brain. So these are very specific practices that have been, again, studied on a scientific level. We can see pre and post MRIs and, change in blood flow, opening up new patterns in the brain, which is wild. Um, I find, and then having time and space while you're on campus, walking around, having a massage or going to the lake, to really practice the tools in real time. And so that's also one of the gifts of doing an extended intensive is that there's time for practice. And when you're in an environment like Kripalu or Omega, you're interacting also with other people that are there doing their own, incredible journey with other faculty. And those interactions are wonderful ways to practice what we're learning during our intensive of rewiring the brain for relationship.
I think it's just so important. Those connections that are built from these events is just so groundbreaking. And I understand you even have one in Costa Rica. I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, I do. What's interesting about and distinct about the one in Costa Rica, I will say, different from being at a retreat center like Kripalu and Omega, is that when we are in Costa Rica, I've been doing these retreats, by the way, since 2016. So it's been 10 years and it's been uh, 1 to 2 week-long destination retreats in various beautiful places. And Costa Rica is one of my favorites. And we really live together in community for in this case this year 8 days. This is the longest retreat I'm doing this year. And that has a whole other aspect to it because we're the only ones there in the space. We're the only ones on the land. We do daily excursions together out to beautiful places like waterfalls and hot springs. And oh my God, Costa Rica is amazing. Go into the jungle and the rainforest and swim. And it's really, it has been incredibly powerful over the last 10 years, how strong a community has been established. And what I'll say about that, if you're thinking, well, it's already established, I feel funny coming, it's always about half repeats. And it has been that way for 10 years. They keep coming back every single year. And then the other half of the group is new. And so the community just keeps growing. So it's quite a different experience from the Kripalu and Omega style retreat center to being really living together in community. I absolutely love that experience, and it's so powerful when it comes to transformation.
So the alumni that keep coming year after year after year, what is some of the main reasons they do that?
They love the work, they love the community, and they keep growing. I mean, this year was so miraculous for me, so moving for me. I literally wept through the whole closing circle because the people that have been coming year after year, I just keep witnessing this deepening of healing, this opening, this finally letting go. And I witnessed some really powerful shares on that last day of finally. I remember this one man who's been coming for, yeah, probably, yeah, actually, he's been coming since 2016. He said, I finally feel like I love myself, like true, like through and through. And I could feel it in his words. I have the tingles talking about it. And I just, the tears just started falling from my eyes. Just being able to really see that over time is such a gift and such a treasure for me, for a retreat facilitator, for, a healer and the work that I do. It was so powerful to witness.
My goodness, what a profound experience that must have been. And I can understand because in many ways it's like if you're a solo traveler, a lot of times going to places could be a little scary, but when you are also going to a new place and you have people that are there to kind of help and guide you, and then you get this profound healing that happens. I mean, what a gift that is.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. And for the solo travelers, just know that many are solo traveling and everybody gathers at a hotel ahead of time and meets up for their first meal. And so there's connection before traveling to the retreat destination. And I know sometimes people feel, it makes sense to feel a little anxious and a little like trepidation, but people just fall in love with each other almost immediately. It's really quite astounding.
What a phenomenal trip. My goodness. And so, where can our listeners go to learn more about your work? And of course, your amazing book, which I have my own copy. And I'm sure many people tell you this. I've written in my book, I have it dog eared. It's one of my actually best reads right now. I have it by my bedstand. But where can they pick up a copy of Come Back to Love and also sign up for one of the retreats? I've been kind of eyeballing the one in Costa Rica and Omega, so I'm not sure which one I'll be at yet.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you. So everything Come Back to Love, you can find at comebacktolove.com. You can download the first chapter of the book to get a taste of it. You certainly can find it in all places you can buy books online, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Bookshop, etc. And when you go to my website, comebacktolove.com, you'll see if you click on work with me that there are some ways to get to know me first with some free events. And if you click on events, you will see all of the retreats listed there and you can explore each one. And I know often people will want to know or kind of talk about, which one would be best for them. And so I always offer a 30-minute free consult to listen to what's happening in your life and help you decide, which direction, which place, which location is best for you. And so I'm always happy to do that.
Oh, I guess I better schedule that up right now then and figure it out.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to do that first, Robyn. And thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Robyn. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your book, Come Back to Love. Make sure to visit Robyn's website at comebacktolove.com to learn more about any of these great retreats that she has, and I'll see you in Costa Rica. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.